What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spread the Positive podcast. I am your host, Trent Denson, founder of Spread the Positive and STP Productions, where our mission is to bring light to what's going right and to showcase and facilitate efforts that are making a positive impact in our local communities and beyond. Be sure to check us out, spreadthepositive.net. And also, if you're looking to get involved with the STP Podcast Network, please reach out and just check out all the amazing shows that are on the network. We continue to grow. We continue to build. Be part of the solution. Be part of what's going right. Welcome to the show. This episode of the Spread the Positive podcast is brought to you by the 1200 Club supporters. Huge shout out to our good friends, Mary Fugit with Gateway Title. For all of your real estate closing needs, be sure to hit up Mary over at Gateway Title. The team at Gateway is second to none, and we highly recommend them for all of your real estate transactions, refinancing needs, and anything of the sort. Please check them out. Huge thank you to Mary. As always, we love you. Casey Broach with KK Fitness Training. Casey is a personal trainer on the Faster Way app. She has actually gone through the Faster Way herself. This app has a crazy proven track record of helping people get to their fitness goals quicker with a healthier approach, and it's changing people's lives around the country and around the world. Casey is killing it in this area. She is passionate about helping people. She's done it herself, she believes in it, and she can walk you through this entire process. So be sure to check out at KK Fitness Training on Instagram, and you can reach out to her via email, kkfitnesstraining@gmail.com. Big shout out to you, Casey. Keep killing it. We appreciate your continued support of the 1200 Club here at Spread the Positive. Thank you so much. Last but not least, this episode is brought to you by Pete Adams and Travis Swan over at Adams & Swan. Adams & Swan is your local advertising and digital marketing company that uses a results-driven approach to small and medium business revenue growth. They develop a custom strategy that is specific to your business and create dynamic advertising and digital marketing campaigns that deliver new clients and customers. Check them out at adamsandswan.com. Big shout out to my guys, Pete and Travis. Thank you for the support, guys. Means so much. Can't wait to have you in. Y'all be sure to check them out. adamsandswan.com. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Spread the Positive podcast. I am your host, as always, Trent Denson. Got a really cool show for us today. An early supporter of Spread the Positive and entrepreneur, business owner, wears a lot of hats, super intelligent, super talented guy. The doctor himself, Dr. Doug Trovinger from Document Doctors. How are you, man?
I'm doing fine. Good to be here and wonderful to see the studio.
Yeah, man. We go back, man. I feel we were talking off mic. Feel like we got started at a similar time and been on this entrepreneurial grind. Kind of a similar time frame. When did you get started with Document Doctors again?
So Document Doctors officially started in June of 2018.
Yep, that's really close to when I did. I think I was. Yeah, it's really close. I don't remember the exact date, but oops. That's awesome, man. And if anybody knows the grind, man, it's you. I've been following your journey for a while, and I know we had multiple meetings over the years and connected at a lot of different places, networking wise, and you've been doing it, man. You've been grinding it out, providing great service and doing the thing, man. So typically how I like to do it, we'll get to all things Document Doctors and all that, but give the people just a brief overview of early passions, childhood, kind of what developed the greatness that is Dr. Doug.
So I was actually born and partially raised in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
Spend about 40% of my life in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay.
Where it's just a single parent in the house. So just my mom and my sister and I. Really had to find out long and early, through a lot of like trials and tribulations of perseverance.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
being able just to keep going when things were really tough and challenging. And, that even included like in high school and college,
Yeah.
where I really didn't have a lot of support. And the biggest, the biggest thing is finding people that I can entrust and to be able to help me positively continue forward or to the next step.
Sure.
Whether it's going to class the next day or graduating high school with, or even graduating college.
Yeah.
And
Where'd you go to school?
so I have 4 degrees.
Jeez.
So it's kind of like a temperature, if you will. But my bachelor's degree was from West Virginia University.
Okay.
It was a bachelor's in business management with a minor in management information systems.
Okay.
Almost a second minor in human resource management, but there was a couple classes short in the till there. I did get an MBA from the University of Phoenix, which was in the early 2000s. So it was actually their old-fashioned version.
Nice.
Where I actually did courses in person.
Okay.
So I started that journey in Clackamas, Oregon, which is south of Portland.
Nice.
Did most of it in Columbus, Ohio, and then a chunk of it in Tucson, Arizona.
Nice.
And it was, even to this day, which it's been almost 20 years after I graduated, I still use those skills immensely.
Yeah.
But I felt like the academic tour wasn't over yet. So I went to Marshall University, which is the other school in West Virginia. Some people like to call it up north. But also where the We Are Marshall movie was done. And I got my Master's of Science in Management Information Systems with a focus in project management.
Okay.
Actually got to meet Matthew McConaughey when
Did
they were
you
doing
really?
doing the movie.
Oh, wow.
At the CCC, the Campus Christian Center, which we had to go literally to the opposite side of the building when they were doing filming shots in the chapel.
Yeah.
And you could just hear them scream, "Cat!"
That's awesome.
But then the last stop on the academic tour was with the University of Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Knoxville.
Okay.
And that was actually my first time in the state of Tennessee, where I got a specialist in education degree in instructional design and technology with a minor in strategic HR management.
Dang, dude. That's insane. That is impressive. I got a bachelor's, and that was enough for me. So, and
That's good though.
Yeah,
I mean, I was just a lifelong student, but then I finally, part of the things I had to kind of come to terms with is I couldn't be a professional student forever. So I had to, make that decision, own up to it to transition to the next part.
Absolutely. And what was that like?
Not very easy because, I was looking at the University of Kentucky to actually go up to a doctorate level and to finish, or alternately, I was going to go to MTSU.
Okay.
Which they still recruit me from time to time to come back and get an EDD, which is a similar vein as a PhD, to get the true doctorship.
Sure.
But I think I'm a little bit past that.
Sure.
It may just be, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Sure. Heard that, man. Well, that's incredible. I didn't know most of that. That's so crazy. All over the place with the education.
Mm-hmm.
And the transition into the working world and all of that. How did you kind of cut your teeth in that world, and what led to Document Doctors?
Well, the working world was actually pretty consistent as I was, going through, all the colleges that I was at, because I was working, nearly part-time, nearly full-time, or at the minimum, part-time, like 25, 30 hours a week, in a number of different roles, whether it was pizza, it was actual contract work, or a combination of both.
Sure.
Or Best Buy, which I was at for 6 years.
Okay.
And really kind of developed, and that's where I kind of developed the knack for Document Doctors.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until around 2016 and 2017 and part of 2018 where I had 4 contract jobs in 13 months. And one of the challenging parts of contract jobs is they are very insecure. So very volatile. You could be there one day Next day, you're not.
Sure.
But getting laid off 4 times in 13 months, that was my calling to just step out on my own and, kind of take control of the wheel to create my own business.
I love it.
Originally, it was called Trovinger Solutions, which just didn't have the nice ring to it. But I have to give credit to my good friend Matt Murray, which he actually has an HR firm in New Albany, Indiana, called Touchdown Professional Services.
Nice.
Where he made the suggestion to change it to Document Doctors.
Really? Shout out to him. Shout out to Matt. That's awesome.
Yeah. And, it's been great to see his business flourish, because he started his about the same time as mine, which he basically helps people of all walks of life gain employment in the Louisville metro area, as well as southern Indiana.
Okay.
And so whenever I changed that name, basically it became official on June 1st, 2018.
Okay.
And I can tell you that it has not been an easy ride even up to this point.
Feel you. Feel really similar time frame for me as well. That's amazing. Well, you're still here, man. Congratulations on that.
Yes, thank you.
I know that it's a grind, man. This entrepreneurial thing is a grind for sure, especially being a one-man shop, right? Like, it's just you, correct?
Correct. So I do pretty much like 80% of the work. If I get heavy or overloaded, I've got a couple contractors and one sidekick that basically helps me get through. His name is Hale. He's basically like my strategy guy. So,
okay, cool.
So we work together to, try to go ahead and make sure that I'm not going too crazy.
Sure.
But also staying positive and, focused. Sure. Because when you're a solopreneur, one of the biggest challenges is, you're wearing so many different hats. It's very challenging to be able to, stay focused on the task at hand.
Yep.
Because you not only have to try to, generate revenue, but if you've got clients that are, bringing in the revenue, you got to make sure that they're both happy. So it's a very delicate balance.
Yeah, totally. I feel that 100%. So talk to us about what you actually do. I got a pretty decent understanding, but for the people listening, what exactly is Document Doctors?
So Document Doctors is a content-focused organization where basically the whole goal of what I do is to go and help businesses become successful through the content that they have.
Okay.
Now, that content is anything that's internal or external or a combination of both.
Right.
For example, let's say that ABC company that's downtown Nashville, they're growing out of the woodwork, and they're a startup, but they don't have the time or the resources to get everything in order so they can focus on that rapid growth to keep it going. That's where I can potentially come in to help with policies, procedures, training materials, as well as any like external materials like marketing, like brochures, flyers, even websites and marketing, which, I've got a trusted partner that helps out.
Nice.
With that.
That's amazing.
Realistically, the whole idea is to go ahead and make businesses meaner, leaner, stronger, faster, and more efficient through that documentation.
Yeah, just those processes and SOPs and all the fancy terms for stuff that keeps your business on track, basically.
That is correct.
It's huge, man. I still struggle with maintaining, like, it's all in my head, like if I was to hand this stuff off, it's really tough to be able to say, go click this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and have a podcast out versus, being able to have that, in a nice clean document that you could hand off to somebody, or even a video or some training along those lines. So
correct.
Sounds like we could collab on that.
Oh, absolutely. And the nice thing is that regardless of the size of business, whether they're big or small, I do handle them all. And probably one of the secret sauces that I have is kind of the human touch.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I get a lot that's kind of like a threat, if you will, is AI.
Yep.
But the one thing is that AI can't replace the human mind.
Sure.
It can duplicate it and replicate it as much as possible, but I don't think it's ever going to get to the point where it's going to be a complete replacement.
Sure.
So do I use AI as part of the solution in some cases? Yes, but there's still that human element, and that's where, especially when it comes to like look and feel as well as impact and appearance, that's where that secret sauce is.
Yeah, 100%. Because you can, these AI tools are crazy with some of the stuff that they can provide an outline for it, but you still have to do the branding, that making it your own for your business, all that type of stuff. So, I think you're in a safe spot in that regard, because I heard a quote that stuck with me. Basically, this lady's like an automations person for Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
She spoke about AI at a tech council thing we did here in town. And she said, AI probably won't replace your job, but you can be replaced by someone that's using AI to replace your job.
Yeah. And it's very interesting because I saw an article with Spotify.
Yeah.
That literally, okay, if AI can't do your job, we can go ahead and hire somebody.
Sure.
But if AI can do it, we're not going to hire somebody.
Right.
So it's very interesting how some businesses, kind of use that.
Right.
But one of the other things that I do is, consulting.
Yeah.
So especially from the strategic point of view. So, if a business is really growing, it's helping them kind of carve that road down, 10 miles further so that they don't trip up and then potentially, lose all the momentum, or even worse, go bust.
Sure.
So
that's awesome. So you've been doing that since 2018. Talk to us about some success stories. Like we're always, trying to highlight stuff that's working, man. So talk to us about some success stories and kind of some of the stuff you're excited about moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the first projects that I had, which I would say is an enterprise level, is with PepsiCo and Frito-Lay.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm very grateful to say that they're one of the clients that I've helped for a little over 3 years now. And one of my first projects, which is nearly the biggest project I have ever done solo, was actually a manufacturing plant outside of Boston.
Okay. Wow.
So they produce pita chips.
Okay.
That you see in the grocery store.
Sure.
And the basically the purpose of the project was to not only create policies and procedures, but also to create training.
Okay.
Because everything was at least 10 years old or more.
Oh, wow.
And so it was out of date. So I actually got to go deep inside the plant. I looked very, very strange because I had the hair nets,
sure,
a Frito-Lay jacket, safety glasses, steel toe boots, the whole thing, because safety is an utmost priority and part of what they call the good manufacturing practices,
sure,
or GMPs. So as we walked through the production floor, there were a number of different opportunities, not only from a quality perspective, but from a procedural perspective that needed fixed.
That's awesome.
So being my old self, where I basically wrote everything by hand, I probably wrote about 50 or 60 pages of notes.
Wow.
In a 10-day time span between the two visits to basically try to optimize this facility.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And one of the things, and probably one of the challenges in the role that I have and kind of as a business, is how deep do you go?
Sure.
You can basically scratch the surface. You can go as high as the moon, or you can go as deep as into the mantle of the earth.
Sure.
And in a situation like that, you have to go really deep.
Yeah.
So we found a number of different opportunities, and even things that, just live that were concerning, because one of their keys was trying to get is waste.
Yeah.
You want to really reduce waste, because for them that costs not only time, but also materials and labor.
Sure.
In summary, that project probably produced well over 4,000 pages of deliverables.
From you?
From me.
Oh my gosh.
So the instructor guide, which they basically had it set to not only just as an instructor to produce, but what's also known as train the trainer. So basically anybody can pick up that manual and teach the class.
Wow.
That was a 1,200 page document
What?
in color, of course,
Of course.
and branded to Frito-Lay standards. And
Dude, that's
I've never
crazy.
built anything that big before.
Yeah.
And then of course the participant guide, that was almost 900 pages in itself.
Jeez.
But there was also 1,400 PowerPoint slides that was divvied up into 6 modules.
Wow.
And then there's other things like job aids and certification documents. And what yielded from that, which still happens to this day, and there was actually a revisit at that facility with some others a couple of weeks ago, the waste went down 30%.
Wow, dude. Wow.
And when you're making hundreds of thousands of bags of product, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking a couple $1 million savings.
Sure.
But also retention went up because people weren't burned out because they didn't know what they were doing. And the actual morale went
Sure.
up because
Man, that's
now
awesome.
they know what they need to do in order to be successful. And it also has basically opened up the door for more people to grow.
That's awesome, man. Golly, that blows my mind. 4,000 pages of documents.
Oh yeah, it's just the instructor guide alone was a 3-inch binder, front and back.
That's
And
crazy.
you know, one of the funny things that I tell my friends at dinner parties or even at hockey, because I'm a
Big hockey
I
guy. That's
play
right.
hockey, of course, is I don't use printers, I destroy printers.
Oh man,
'Cause,
that's just crazy.
you know, it's just part of the, you know, the general scheme of things, but you know, you have to visually see the documentation before you hand it off to a client.
Yeah,
Because if there's something even just a miss, even if text is wrong or whatnot, it's going to be caught.
Yeah.
So you want to catch it before.
absolutely. That is wild, man. So 4,000 pages for Pepsi, Frito-Lay.
And that's just one project.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is wild. What's another one? You got another one?
Oh yeah. So I got one that's more recent.
Okay.
So actually a fellow hockey player of mine, he had me come into his office. This was actually a quick project, so it was only a few months, but he really needed some organization with respect to a couple of his businesses.
Okay.
So he's in in private investments, but also land acquisition as well as construction.
Okay.
So he, you know, brought me in to try to basically go ahead and bring some clarity to the chaos.
Sure.
First thing, policies and procedures,
Always.
because they had none.
Sure.
You know,
Zero.
they had zero.
Wow.
They kind of
again,
did things
just-
like the seat of their pants.
So similar. All right. So similar to me. Like, was it just all in this guy's head, kind of, or even that far along? Or
It wasn't as far as long as yourself.
Okay.
So he had some idea,
yeah.
but I had basically, we sat down for a good 8-9 hours at a Whole Foods by his office and kind of grinded out, okay, tell me what, you know, give me your list of needs. Let's go ahead and, you know, we got a specific timeline, specific budget. Let's do what we can.
Yeah.
So we focused on the land acquisition and the construction.
Okay.
And really the biggest challenge was actually trying to come up with the procedures,
Wow.
because they're two different businesses, but they're intertwined to each other.
Sure.
Kind of like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they really didn't have anything structurally with HR.
Okay.
Okay, here's your first day. This is what you're going to need to do. You know, you need your tax forms. You need your passwords. You know, got to give you equipment, so on and so forth. So kind of just in short, with this project, you know, I created probably about 60 or so policies and procedures. So it was about a 40-20 split. The construction side needed more, whereas the the development needed less just to
Okay.
get, because he just wanted to get going. So they just have some foundation.
Yeah.
Because he wants to scale. But if you're going to scale, you need to have that in place first.
Right.
One of the other things that I did was create, which pretty much I can use it and reuse if I need to, especially in that space, is a guide to build a house.
Nothing to it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I am handy capable when it comes to tools.
Sure.
So if you have me try to go ahead and, for example, like in this table, to like put a nail into a piece of wood, it wouldn't work too well.
Okay. Fair enough.
But what I did learn is that, you know, through actually doing the research and kind of going through the motions, it's about like a 30-step process to build a house. From the time there's an idea to the time you're given the keys. But
Yeah.
what's ironic about it, and one of the challenges, was codes.
Right.
So
Codes are crazy.
since they're primarily domiciled in Davidson County, I actually printed the entire code book for Nashville Nashville Metro codes
Sure.
to be able to integrate in that guide to build a house specific codes,
Wow.
so that that can expedite the process of them building a house, so that they don't keep getting dinged on codes for
Yeah.
one thing or another.
Which
Like they
is-
have it
yeah.
right there.
Yep.
Plus, they also now have a hard copy of it,
There you go.
because that's one of the challenges with building houses is you're trying to do it in the most efficient way possible. But when the inspectors come by, they're going to be very nitpicky. But if you can prevent that from the get-go, saves you all the time.
Absolutely. Man, so just codes. Just a code to build
Yeah.
a house and have an SOP for that for a construction and land acquisition company. That's impressive, man.
Oh yeah.
Like how
And
does
that
it-
can save them $25, $30, $40, $50,000 on the build, because they don't have to go back over
Right.
when they just basically follow the steps.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Man, that's so. What's going on, everybody? Super excited to announce another member of the STP 1200 Club, our family over at P's and Q's Pickup, your local junk removal specialist, your one-stop shop when it comes to getting rid of things you don't want or need. We take just about anything, including furniture, appliances, trash, construction debris, and more. We prioritize eco-friendly disposal practices as we sort through everything in order to keep as much out of the landfill as possible. But yeah, we recycle and donate what we can and properly dispose of the rest. We offer volume-based, flexible pricing options and can do anything from a single item to a full property clean out. Give us a call or shoot us a message at 615-995-9881 to schedule your free, no obligation estimate today. Huge shout out to the team at P's and Q's Pickup, Matthew, Pookie, and Haley. We greatly appreciate y'all. Super excited to have y'all as members of the 1200 Club. Y'all be sure to stay tuned for some great content from these folks. Their social media game's already on point, but excited to have them in studio utilizing the benefits of the 1200 Club. Huge shout out again to P's and Q's Pickup. Be sure to check them out. Just Google P's and Q's Pickup and you will find the best junk removal specialists here in Middle Tennessee. Amazing. Man, that's so cool. So like your target customer is like, they could be anywhere, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So another thing that's unique, which I was actually talking to a mentor earlier today about the business that I have, is that it's more horizontally based than it is vertically based. Of course, it has its advantages and opportunities, but when I'm looking at it, I don't want to pigeonhole myself to like one or two industries, because what if that industry has a slump?
Sure.
You know, then the business is going to really slump. So thinking of it like as an iceberg, where you've got peaks and valleys on the surface and then below.
Sure.
So that could be like with different skill sets I'm a lot stronger in than others. For example, like video editing. I'm not as strong in that, say, there's policies and procedures.
Sure.
But having but being more horizontal, I can basically ride the waves and the tides of different industries. But the one neat thing is kind of like the takeaway as a bonus. Every industry that I touch, I become somewhat of a subject matter expert to some level.
Yeah.
Like in construction, like I never thought I would have any, like I never thought I would know how to build a house.
Right.
I knew how to do it in Legos, but
Sure.
but if I really wanted to, like I could be a project manager on a site and basically just turn to that section. Like, okay, how's the trim? You know, are the cabinets put on correct? Do they close? Why is a cabinet butting against the refrigerator?
Yeah, that's a problem. That's good, man.
So
that's really cool. That's really, really cool. And it's it really is like across the board, something that you can help with basically any type of business.
Correct.
I mean, that's job security, man. That's, I mean, and you can do this until you decide not to, right? Like that
is correct.
Yeah.
You know, nice is that when you see businesses change, you can be one step ahead.
Yeah.
You know, especially with like AI, like the integration of AI and things like that. Like colleges are really struggling trying to, you know, implement, you know, how to integrate that in.
Yeah.
You know,
plagiarism and all that stuff. And
correct.
Yeah.
And especially like, you know, whenever I was back in the day when I was in elementary school, because it shows my age and I'm old. I'm getting old. It's a running joke since 1979, which is, but I remember like in elementary school, we had one computer.
Right.
You know, one computer in the classroom, and it was an Apple IIc.
Yep.
Ooh. And then we had, you know, computer labs like in high school,
right,
where they were like under like super lock and key, like because and it was like when the internet was really starting to kick in, and you couldn't go in there without supervision and
all the
and now it's basically the same computing powers in a cell phone and more.
Yeah.
But being a horizontal organization also is positively strategic because I can help multiple people. And one of the biggest passions is actually paying it forward.
Yeah.
You know, helping others.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of found that that passion with hockey.
Yeah.
Though I have 4 teams, I play on one, but I really like my whole goal since I started my own team in 2019 when the Fordyce Center in Bellevue opened.
Yeah.
Is to help people have a home.
That's awesome.
And being an orphan hockey player myself, you know, since then I probably have helped a couple of hundred players, probably 200 or 300, find a home.
That's awesome.
In some capacity. And it's just that's kind of like my passion project.
I love that.
You know,
that's what we're about around here, is that passion and giving back and community and what's going right. You know, the tagline's bringing light to what's going right, man. That's really awesome. And I've you know, over the years, you know, been following and seeing that continue to grow and continue to be a big part of who you are, man. It's been cool to see.
I think the other thing is perseverance.
Yes.
Because, you know, when COVID hit, that was honestly when the business really took a nosedive. And I think I could say unanimously that I wasn't the only one, but just to get through that on the other side and then have 3 years of record revenue after the fact.
Yeah. Congrats.
You know, shows that if you're perseverant to, you know, to your goals and your passions, it will come back to you in many ways.
Yeah, man. That's incredible. Congratulations on that.
Thank
continued
you.
Success, man. I've seen your work in action and see the reviews from folks. I know you've worked with like Jason Connor and, you know, some legends around here in Murfreesboro.
Absolutely.
He's a beast, man. I always pulling for the Connor Insurance Group. They're doing some amazing stuff, and I know I saw him give you a big shout out recently.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's awesome to see him grow the business because, you know, I've helped him build a lot of forms.
Yep.
So that he basically can send to a client, they can send back, make his life easier so that he can go ahead and, get them their quotes more quickly.
Yep.
And he spends less on the administrative side.
Right. That's huge. Well, shout out to Jason. Good dude. Always. He's been a big supporter of STP over the years. And
Good dude, Jason. Absolutely.
Yeah, very good dude. All right, man. So let's get into a couple of these STP questions, man. You kind of touched on some of them already, but just that main question I always like to ask folks is, in your line of work, in your world personally, what would you say is going right in this crazy world of turmoil and chaos and tariffs and all this wild stuff that's going on? What's going right in the document doctor's world?
I'm above ground.
Yes, sir.
Well,
I love it.
Except for the times I have to park the car at the new place, which is in the basement. But
Okay. That's right.
there is still demand for business,
Yep.
and I think transactions will still get done.
Yep.
Is there a lot of chaos in the world?
Yes.
But you also ultimately can control that level of chaos yourself.
Yep.
You can go knee deep and go all in, or you can be more passive and kind of focus more strategically.
Yep.
And if you're focusing strategically, that's going to take a lot of that noise out,
Yep.
where you can, try to go and stay on course, with your goals, with your passions, and to really make progress.
Yeah. Well, they say control the controllables.
That's correct. Yes.
I feel like that's a pretty applicable statement for this episode for sure. Because if you know your controllables and you have processes for your controllables, it's easier to control the controllables, man. So that's what's up. Another question I always like to ask is somebody in your life that really lives out the mission to spread the positive. Who's someone in your life that comes to mind?
I would definitely have to say it's my friend Hale.
Okay.
So Hale is kind of like my chief strategy officer.
Love it.
I actually met him about 5 years ago. He just moved from Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay.
So we both played hockey, so it was kind of like that was the normal like connection. But he was really intrigued with the business, and then I would say probably about a year and a half or so after that, he got a lot deeper into it, and I actually brought him on, and since then, there was a lot of turmoil that I went through, and basically he's been a very, very positive influence to help strategically get my mind right.
Yeah.
And be able to focus forward, to be positive, to be proactive, and actually challenging.
Sure. Gotta have those people.
And since then, like from a mental and a physical standpoint, I have never been healthier.
Nice.
And
man.
it's very humbling just even to look back maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, where I was to where I'm now, which is completely different.
That's awesome. Shout out to you, Hale, man. That's awesome. I always love hearing those people that have been there through the thick and the thin and ups and the downs and all the things, man. So shout out to you, Hale, for holding down our guy, being there, being a voice of reason and encouragement for.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll be honest, I was also, a big part because he's now a permanent U.S. citizen.
Oh, wow.
And I actually went to bat to go ahead and get him citizenship.
Wow, dude. That's amazing. Where's he from?
So he was from Canada.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. That's really awesome, man. And how'd y'all meet?
Hockey.
That's right. That checks out.
Good. Yeah, you're going to the penalty box too, man. So.
Yeah, I feel that.
I think you're already in the box.
Yeah, I should have put that together. Man, that's awesome. Like I said, man, I followed. We connected a while back, and you were an early adopter. You were one of the first people that joined the STP network back in the day, and super grateful for that. And I've seen your journey from socials and crossing paths here and there, man. But I've always been impressed by your just the way your brain works. Like you really are like a doctor when it comes to being able to put this stuff on paper, help businesses like really prioritize what really matters. And it's been awesome to watch, man. I've always been pulling for you, and just think the services that you provide are something that's instrumentally like just a necessity for a business to actually be on the right track, man. And as someone that hasn't implemented all the things I should have implemented sooner, the more we're having this conversation, it's just like this stuff has been on my to-do list, to say the least, for a long time. And it's just like, it seems like such an overwhelming, daunting task, but when you enlist someone like yourself, like it could easily be done. Yeah. I shouldn't say easily, but it could be done and really be in place. And that's definitely looking forward to speaking with you more on that, and just for the people out there that are listening and or watching, and just being able to tap into a resource like Doug is it can change everything for your business. And I just want to shout it from the rooftops. If y'all have any inquiries or any questions for Doug, man, where can people find you, and how can people, enlist your services?
So with me being, deep in the lab, hiding under a lab table,
Sure.
with a bunch of Bunsen burners going. Right. No, just kidding.
Not that kind of.
No, I'm not that kind of doctor.
Sure.
But no, you can find me at www.documentdoctorsllc.com.
Okay.
Of course, I'm on that Facebook thing and LinkedIn everybody goes to, so
Sure.
you're welcome. Please connect. Let's collaborate.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm going to mention with this podcast is if there's any referrals that come from Spread the Positive, I'm actually going to go and give 10% of that gross revenue back so that mission can grow.
Man, that's
and
amazing.
that is a no limit. So if it's for example, it's a $5,000 transaction, $500 goes into the STP kitty.
Bro, that's amazing. Go use Doug. I'm going to use Doug.
Yeah. And if it's $50,000 and I give him one of those fake checks from the Publishers Clearinghouse that just went bankrupt, and we'll just put a Document Doctor sticker on the upper left corner.
Let's go, man. That's amazing. Thank you for that. So yeah, be sure to check out documentdoctorsllc.com. I'll have that in the show notes, obviously. And be sure to shout us out if you do end up working with Doug. Just drop that STP plug. But that's amazing, man. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're here to make productivity simplified.
Let's go. That's a bar in itself. Well, man, Doug, I appreciate you reaching out and coming back through. This has been really cool. Like I said, pulling for you, and really appreciate the work that you do, because it is not everybody's brain is wired that way. And as someone that struggles with this stuff, man, it's really cool to see just how you can, and the different varieties of ways that you can help folks is super exciting, man. So keep killing it, dude. Keep killing it. Keep persevering, man. And for anybody out there, just a call, man, just to get, do you do free consultations or?
Yep, I do an initial consultation so that we can try to go ahead and define your scope. And, it's a little bit of can be a deep discovery.
Sure.
So, that's just to be able to make sure that what you need is what I can do. And if not, I can get you to the right place.
I love that.
And, of course, you can give me a call on the hotline. It's 1-473-7688.
Okay. All right, y'all. Well, this has been another episode of the Spread the Positive podcast. Do want to shout out the latest initiative, the STP 1200 Club. We're pushing, trying to get individuals, businesses, nonprofits to commit to $100 for a calendar year. You get monthly access to the studio, commercials made, ad reads, all the above, access to events, and basically just part of the STP network as a whole. We're continuing to grow. We got new shows launching. Got some nonprofit partners that are always looking for support on production of their show. And again, it's just all about bringing light to what's going right, showcasing stuff that's making a positive impact here locally and beyond. And my guy Doug is a textbook example of all things STP. So be sure to check him out. Everything will be in the show notes, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again, Doug.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Trent. It's great to see your journey blossom.
Yeah, man.
With all the plus signs in the studio over the years.
We got to keep it moving, man. That's what we're doing.
That's right.
From one person on the grind to another, man. Keep killing it. It's an honor to have you in.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Spread the Positive podcast. For more information about all the things we got going here at Spread the Positive, please check us out, spreadthepositive.net. Get involved with our underwriting, advertising, sponsorship program, start a podcast, or if you just want to support the mission, reach out on spreadthepositive.net or any of our social media handles at Spread the Positive. Look forward to connecting with y'all and giving y'all another fire episode on the next one. Thank you, and we will see you then. Let's go.